My name is Pfenniger. I am a cardiac electrophysiologist at Northwestern Medicine, but I'm also a basic scientist, and I spend most of my time studying mechanisms of arrhythmias, with the rest of my time being spent with patients who suffer from cardiac arrhythmias. Atrial fibrillation is the most common arrhythmias, and every cardiologist, internist, even cardiac electrophysiologist will see a lot of patients who have atrial fibrillation every day. But despite being the most common arrhythmia, we actually don't have great treatments for this disease. The best treatments are only effective in about 70% of patients, and even less so when atrial fibrillation is persistent. And so that really highlights the need to better understand this disease. How do we do that? Well, we go back to the basics. We go back to the research lab. And so it's really important at this stage to better understand how atrial fibrillation occurs to then be able to create new therapies, hopefully for our patients. We're really fortunate at Northwestern Medicine that we have a Center for Arrhythmia Research, which combines scientists, basic scientists, translational scientists, clinician scientists, and then clinicians to really address arrhythmias and their mechanisms and their treatment possibilities. And so with this center, under the direction of Rob Passman, there are additional structures and tools for scientists to study arrhythmias. A few studies have been published in the last few years that help highlight some mechanisms underlying atrial fibrillation. In one of them, with the senior author being Rishi Arora, we showed that oxidative injury is really important in the development of atrial fibrillation. And we used a gene therapy approach in a preclinical model, which, if this continues to work well, may lead to novel therapies against atrial fibrillation. In other studies, we showed the importance of the autonomic nervous system in the maintenance of atrial fibrillation, where we showed that nerves grow in the heart over time with atrial fibrillation, and that both the parasympathetic and the sympathetic arm are really important for the development of atrial fibrillation. And so ongoing studies follow these recent results to better understand atrial fibrillation. As basic scientists, it is always very close to our thoughts to understand if our current findings could potentially help our patients in the future. And while the short answer is that we do not know if what we're doing will help patients, it is certainly our hope that if we're able to pinpoint the exact mechanisms underlying atrial fibrillation, then this will lead to new therapies, either through the use of catheters or new medications, or even specific gene therapy that can target the specific pathways involved in this disease. Well, the primary goal of our current research is really more discovery, understanding the disease. Why does atrial fibrillation occur, and in what settings does this occur? And is it different, for instance, in a heart that's normal or a heart that has heart failure? And it's really important to understand this fully before we start inventing or discovering new therapies.